Deep within the heart of Blackwood stood an ancient forest, so dense that even at midday, sunlight struggled to reach the forest floor. For generations, the villagers had lived by one simple rule: never enter the woods after sunset, and if, from the darkness, you ever hear someone calling your name, never answer. Most people obeyed the warning without question. But Thomas didn't. To him, the stories were nothing more than old folk tales told to frighten children into staying close to home. Until one autumn evening, everything changed. Thomas had spent the afternoon repairing a broken fence near the edge of his family's land. Focused on his work, he failed to notice how quickly the daylight disappeared. By the time he gathered his tools, the forest had already vanished beneath a blanket of darkness. Then, an icy wind swept through the trees. It carried with it a whisper. "Thomas." He froze. The voice was soft, gentle, and unmistakably familiar. It was his mother's voice. "Thomas, come here, sweetheart. I've lost my lantern." His heart began to race. That couldn't be possible. His mother was inside the house. He could see the warm glow from the kitchen window only a short distance away. Who was calling him? Against his better judgment, Thomas stepped closer to the forest. There, just beyond the trees, a pale lantern flickered in the darkness. Standing beside an ancient hollow oak was a figure wrapped in his mother's woolen shawl. Without thinking, Thomas called out, "Mom?" The instant the word left his lips, the forest fell silent. Every insect stopped singing. The wind disappeared. Even the leaves stood perfectly still. Then, the figure moved. Its head slowly twisted, further, until it had turned completely around, 180 degrees. There was no face, no eyes, no nose, only smooth, pale skin, and a long, jagged slit. The slit stretched wider and wider until it became an impossible smile lined with rows of razor-sharp teeth. Then the creature opened its mouth. But it didn't use its own voice. It used Thomas's. Perfectly. "Mom?" Terror surged through him. He dropped his tools and ran. Behind him came a horrifying sound. Not footsteps, but violent wooden cracks, as though enormous branches were slamming into the earth. The creature wasn't running. It was crawling. On 4 impossibly long limbs, closing the distance with terrifying speed. "Thomas!" Now it was using his father's voice. "Stop! Come back!" Thomas ran harder than he had ever run before. His lungs burned. His legs felt like they would give out. The warm light of home seemed impossibly far away. Then he felt it. Cold fingers brushing the back of his jacket, only inches away. With one final burst of strength, Thomas threw himself onto the porch, burst through the front door, slammed it shut, and locked the heavy deadbolt. A deafening crash shook the entire house. Something massive had struck the door. His parents rushed into the hallway as Thomas collapsed onto the floor, gasping for air. Outside, the heavy footsteps slowly retreated, back toward the forest, back into the darkness. His father knelt beside him, his face drained of color. His voice trembled. "Thomas, did you answer it?" Tears streamed down Thomas's face. He nodded. I called it. Mom." His father's eyes filled with fear. He whispered only 4 words. "It knows you now." Silence filled the house. Then, 3 slow knocks echoed through the front door. Knock, knock, knock. Everyone froze. From the other side, a familiar voice spoke. It was Thomas's own voice. Soft, calm, almost smiling. "I know where you live now." And from that night on, no one in Blackwood ever questioned the old rule again, though.